Sunday NFL action is coming up on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. We crushed it last week, 8 from 12 picks going in. We had a play of the day go in as well, and we're looking for more of the same this week on the podcast. Luke Elder alongside Tom Collins as always, and you've gone hat this week, Tom. Interesting.
Yeah, I've gone hat for the last few weeks. You know why? Because my hair is an absolute state right now. I'm in a process of partially growing it out, but partially not. It's an absolute mess. But yeah, hat for the foreseeable, I'm afraid.
What does Tom Collins with grown out hair look like?
Not good. It's really not good. But it's for the style, you see. I'm not going to keep it long. Don't you worry. I'm not Clay Matthews.
So, but you're not going like Timothy Chalamet sort of hair?
Do you think I could pull off Timothy Chalamet hair? No.
I'm glad you said hair. No, not really. not overly. Albeit he's buzzed it all off at the moment.
He can do whatever he wants. He has a lot of things going well in his life right now, let's say.
He's double handsome. Right. That was a Tom Holland quote, by the way. I quote that a lot. But let's talk about football because the last week, Tom, went pretty well. 8 out of 12 for us. Unfortunately, the Steelers forgot how to play football and they couldn't make it 9 out of 12. But it was still a good week on the podcast.
Yeah, it was an excellent week. A couple of selections let us down each. We both have 4 winners from 6. Hopefully we can improve on that this week. But even if we go 8 out of 12 again, technically we haven't got 12 selections, we've actually got 10. But if we strike at 66%, you'll make money just by following the plays. So fingers crossed we can emulate what we did 7 days ago.
Do you remember that giveaway that we did on the Thursday Night Football podcast?
I do.
Now, we're recording this literally just after the Thursday Night Football podcast. So it's good work from you. No dementia kicking in just yet. However, we don't know how that went. So I think, Tom, we should do another one.
Let's do it.
But this is Sunday. This is the main video. So higher stakes. And if you entered Thursday Night Football, enter this one as well. If you missed Thursday Night Football, then we can do this one. But you can enter both if you like. We've got the membership tier on the channel. We were 5 from 6 on the membership tier for Monday Night Football. We put profit up once again, and it's been a pretty profitable system as well. Anyone that's joined, unless they did it wrong, they are in profit over the last few weeks or so. However, we're giving away a free month of membership on our YouTube channel. But if we get over 100 likes on this video, comment down below as well. The comment is just to let us know that you're interested and let us know that you want to be involved in the prize draw. If we do go over 100 likes, then we'll give away that free month of YouTube membership. And honestly, Tom, it's really good stuff. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it is very good stuff. Look, you make your money back even if you pay for it, but look, we're giving it away for free here. The membership tier gives you Monday Night Football lives, also basically a service where you can ask us about selections and we can give you our responses as to whether they're good plays or bad plays or just point you in the direction of the over or the under. So it is good stuff. And also the Monday Night Lives are like 5 minutes to 10 minutes long. Not very much of your time, and you make money on it. Also, the deadline for this giveaway should be 6 p.m. on Sunday, because maybe we can get you into the member tier for Monday this week.
Absolutely. That is the plan to do that. Or if you're already in the membership tier, you are still able to enter this when the next month of membership comes around on your membership. Then we'll just do the free bit from there, or whichever way you would like. But that is the membership tier and the giveaway. Comment down below, leave a like on this video. That's the best way to get in for free. However, we have got football this week. Tom, we had football last week. We've got What on Earth to bring up. You've been positive the last few weeks on your What on Earths, but no more.
No, I am red hot this week. What on earth? Bryce Young. Did you see that game for the Carolina Panthers against the New Orleans Saints last week? I put up the Panthers minus 5.5. I spent a lot of time watching the game and covering it on the ESPN app just to follow and hope that the Panthers were going to win big. Bryce Young was terrible. Awful. It's one of the worst QB displays in the league. His days are numbered. Bring back Andy Dalton. Bryce Young this season, just one game over 200 passing yards, 11 TDs, 7 interceptions through 9 games. Shocking. He is one of the worst, if not the worst, starting QBs in the league. What on earth, Bryce Young?
Still beat Green Bay.
Move on.
I like how announcers said, well, Bryce Young led his team to beat Green Bay. Rico Dowdle beat Green Bay. Bryce Young had nothing to do with that.
He did nothing. He did nothing in that game. They ran the ball on us and their defense was strong. We gave the Panthers that victory. Bryce Young is shocking. He was good in college for Alabama. He has not done it in the NFL. He needs to be replaced.
He does. He had a good end to last year, but it's not carried on this season whatsoever. I'm going to go happy this week. I'm going to go happy because what on earth? Travian Henderson. Oh, yeah. He stepped up this week. He had a big week against Tampa, who are a good run defense. But everyone said to Mike Vrabel, Travian Henderson's a better running back than Ramondre Stevenson. He said, no, we're going to go for the vet who keeps throwing the ball on the ground. Travian Henderson turned up. And the what on earth here, on his second touchdown, he was turning around for the last 10 yards of the play, looking over towards his coaching staff, saying, can I score? Am I allowed to score? Yes, you are, Travian Henderson. And that is why you are the what on earth for me this week.
Yeah, I like it, to be fair. He bounced back and showed what we knew he had. That juice that Ramondre Stevenson just doesn't possess anymore. Don't know why he's only being used now in proper effect, but hopefully he gets a lot of carries on Thursday Night Football. You'll probably see this after that game. But even if he doesn't, if you've got him in fantasy football moving forward, I think he's a very good asset to have.
Did you see Travion Henderson turning around to his coaching staff while running the ball?
I did. I like that because sometimes players are all about themselves, ego. He's not. He's about the team. That's a big positive.
There was literally, if you haven't seen this, go on to Twitter or social media. There is literally a video of him and the camera cuts and it goes into sort of slow motion. And he's looking at his coaching staff while being chased down on a runaway touchdown going, is it good if can I go in there? They clearly give him the thumbs up. Goes, all right, then I'll go in. He's being chased by two DBs at this point. Yeah. But Travion Henderson, he is absolutely crazy. Hopefully, he goes off once again this week. We will already know, likely by the time you're watching this video, because he is on Thursday Night Football. But we've got 10 picks for this week still to come. Oh, I've got one thing, Tom.
Oh, go on.
Oh.
Yeah, the victory step. I can't do it this week. I can't do it. I was let down. Yeah, it's my own fault. I picked the wrong play.
Yeah, but 9-1 for the play of the day.
Well done. That record needs improving though, doesn't it?
It does need improving. My play of the day record is good, but do you remember who let me down?
I can't actually remember, no.
It was Mason Taylor, but Aaron Glenn who let me down. My record is more Aaron Glenn rather than anything else. But the player of the day is crushing it. Right, let's start off with this week. Leave a like, comment down below, enter our competition as well, because we are starting off red hot with one of the best players, Tom, in the league.
Yeah, it's worth noting we have lots of selections between us, 10 this week, between the 6 p.m. games and the 9:25 p.m. games UK time. Obviously, you can move those times if you're in the US. No bet in the Madrid game, the last of the international series. That's at 2:30. It's a difficult matchup. Neither of us like a play there or a play in the primetime game at 1 a.m. So all of these selections are in those big windows that you'll see on Red Zone. First play this week is a brilliant running back, as you say, and it is Bijan Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons. They play the Carolina Panthers. Shake of the head at 6 p.m. I'm going to take the over on Bijan Robinson rushing yards, which is currently set at 71.5 yards. The price of this bet is 10 to 11. Now, I've already said my disdain for the Panthers at the moment. To be fair, they've been causing some shocks. They've been winning games that they shouldn't have, e.g. against the Packers. But last week they were so bad, and it wasn't just the offense. Bryce Young was abysmal, but it was also the defense, because Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill were just able to run on them, especially in the fourth quarter. Tyler Shuck had a really good game. A rookie QB who doesn't have that many weapons out wide to actually throw to. He basically threw all over the Panthers and could do whatever he wanted. So I just think this Panthers defense maybe isn't as good as billed, unless they just had a random one-off bad performance on Sunday. Earlier this season, the Carolina Panthers beat the Atlanta Falcons 30-0. No one saw that coming. Atlanta would have hated that game. It basically ruined their whole reputation going into this season. It was an early game in the year. Everyone thought, well, Atlanta absolutely stink. They would have been distraught, and I'm sure they would have had some stiff words said to them in the locker room after. They're going to look for some revenge. And if they're going to win this game and get their revenge on Carolina, they're going to go to their best player. Albeit you could say that is Drake London on this year's performances. But I like Bijan Robinson here. Now, Tyler Algier is going to steal some of his carries in here. But most of those will be in the red zone, and most of them will be within the 10-yard line. So I don't mind that. I'm taking rushing yards, not anytime touchdown. If he gets between 16 to 20 carries, which he should go over this line. And crucially, he's gone over this line the last 3 times he's played Carolina. So give me over 71.5 rushing yards for Bijan Robinson to kick this thing off.
Bijan Robinson hopefully will have a big day, but I think it's a big day for Atlanta. These are the two most unpredictable teams in the league. There have been times this year where Carolina have genuinely looked like they could be a playoff team. There have been times this year where Atlanta have looked like they could be a Super Bowl team. Honestly, they beat Buffalo a few weeks ago, and they've been absolute garbage since then. In full transparency, was okay last week, but their defense was let down, and they just let Jonathan Taylor run all over them, and they forgot how to tackle for half the game. But the bright spark of this offense continuously this year has been Drake London, and he had a great game in Berlin last week. Honestly, he's rarely disappointed. Opening up the year was a little slower, but he is the focal point of this offense. He's taken over from Bijan Robinson as the focal point of this offense. And the reason for that is Michael Penix. Michael Penix, I'm not sure he knows there are other guys out there that are wearing a Falcons jersey, because he completed a shocking 12 passes last week for Atlanta. Six of those completions went the way of Drake London. He was targeted 8 times, but he is targeted so much in this offense. 10 targets, 16, 10, and 14. They were the 4 weeks building up to last week's Berlin game. He's been over 100 yards in 4 of his last 5 games. And the Panthers, they're not a great defense. Yes, they've got some good players on defense. And you might look at their pass D and you think, well, they're okay. They're not. The reason that some of the numbers are so low is because they get beat so much. You don't need to pass on them late on in the day. So the numbers aren't as high as they should be. But in recent weeks, Chris Olave had a massive splash play last week, went for 104 yards in the game. Juwan Johnson had another splash play as well. Romeo Dobbs 2 weeks ago, when Green Bay couldn't really do a great deal, still got 91 yards. Christian Watson had a big play against them as well. Khalil Shakir for Buffalo in the loss. About 3 weeks ago, went for 88 yards. Receivers are still getting their day against the Carolina Panthers. Drake London's line, I think this is really low. 72.5 on the receiving yards. That line, I'm going over that all day long. 10 to 11. I think Drake London could have an even better day, Tom, than Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, let's hope Atlanta win, because both of our selections are on that side of the ball. If they win and they score a lot of points on Carolina, fingers crossed they do, just to punish Carolina for their terrible display last week, then hopefully both of these picks will win. We have got the best wide receiver on our side and the best running back on our side. So I like it. I'm going to move this swiftly on. Drake London, a 6'3" wide receiver 1. I'm going to go to a 5'7" wide receiver 2 for my next bet, which is Calvin Austin III, who plays for Pittsburgh Steelers. Everyone's going to be focusing on DK Metcalf on the Steelers side, but I like Austin this week. The Steelers play against the Bengals at 6 p.m. Maybe you'll remember that Steelers v Bengals game earlier this year. It was only 3 to 4 weeks ago. It finished 33-31. It was an incredible offensive battle between two veteran quarterbacks in Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. Ja'Marr Chase had 16 catches on 23 targets for 161 yards and a TD for Cincy. This week, it might be the same in terms of the offensive battle. I doubt Ja'Marr Chase is going to have 16 catches and 23 targets, but maybe you'll look towards Chase as your player prop. In that game, Calvin Austin didn't play. Aaron Rodgers was throwing the ball to DK Metcalf, Pat Freiermuth, who had 5 catches for 111 yards and 2 TDs, and Jaylen Warren, who was a big part of the game on the receiving side, which isn't something you usually see from Jaylen. Now we've got Calvin Austin back. Many people are probably thinking, Calvin Austin, I mean, this guy's done nothing. If you go back through his history against Cincinnati, he has literally barely had a catch. I think he's had 2 catches on about 8 targets in 5 games against them. However, I feel like Austin's going to become a big part of this offense. Ever since he came back from injury, he's had at least 6 targets in the 3 games. Yes, he hasn't had that many receptions, but he's a deep down the field threat. He's also very good in the slot at getting you that first down. So he's a bit versatile. He's not just a one-minded player, e.g. Christian Watson for the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers trusts him. It takes a lot to get Rodgers' trust. We saw that basically every single season for the Packers. Like if Devontae Adams is on the field, Rodgers isn't really going to be looking elsewhere. And it's kind of been the same with DK this year. But then DK's not been performing and Rodgers is trying to find that other option. Calvin Austin could be the one. I think he's a matchup nightmare against the Cincinnati defense, which is just porous against the pass. And hopefully Calvin Austin can take the over. The line is set at 33.5. So give me the over for Calvin Austin III.
I think Pittsburgh are finding out what Seattle fans kind of knew all along, is that DK Metcalf is a very frustrating wide receiver. He's built to be the greatest wide receiver that's ever existed. He's got the brain of a child, and he just doesn't really perform all the while. But Aaron Rodgers, What do you think the best way to get Aaron Rodgers' trust is?
Uh, Not drop the ball and also just listen to everything he says and never question anything.
Yeah, I was going to say join his cult would be the main thing. If you can join that, then you're then you're in. But Aaron Rodgers was shocking last week. He was
Yeah.
absolutely woeful against the Chargers. Obviously, he wasn't helped out by his team around him, but at the same time, he missed so many passes and he was just awful from start to finish. However, one guy who wasn't great last week, in truth, was Justin Jefferson. Around this time of year, Tom, things get expensive, right? You've got to buy things for Christmas, and it's just you're not going to get any bargains.
No.
Discount Central on Justin Jefferson right now. His line is 68 and a half receiving yards. He is going to crush that line. 10 to 11, I'm taking the overs on that all day long. Look, it was a down week in production last week, but he still saw 12 targets. He only caught 4 of them. JJ McCarthy, he's working things out. He's working his way into the league and he's getting better. Even with that line, Justin Jefferson could have still had 2 big plays. One of them was for a touchdown, the other one was downfield. Both of them, look, an ordinary receiver, yes, you wouldn't expect them to come down with it. But Justin Jefferson, you kind of expect him to catch everything that comes his way. And he said that after the game. He said that he should make 50-50 balls look like 70-30, and he needs to do better. Look, it is on JJ McCarthy because the balls could have been better thrown. But when you're Justin Jefferson, I'm afraid because you're that good, we're going to hold you to a really high line. They take on the Chicago Bears this week. The Bears' defense is beaten up and it's broken. Jalen Johnson is still sidelined, albeit maybe he could get back at some point this year. But they are just giving up yards all over the shop. They gave up 89 yards to Darius Slayton in 3 quarters last week. Slayton came out with one of the greatest catches you'll see this season. Maybe he's back this week, Slayton, but he made the Bears D look very silly in the part of the game that he played. The week prior to that, it took on the Bengals, and the Bengals just did whatever they wanted with the Bears defense. Jamar Chase had 111 yards, T. Higgins had 121 yards. And look, Justin Jefferson can get right in this game. It's a low line. He's surpassed this line 6 of 9 times this season. And I think JJ McCarthy, he'll get better. He will get better the longer this season goes on. However, Tom, he's going to need to, not just for me, but for you as well.
Yeah, exactly. I really like the Vikings in this spot against the Bears. I'll touch on why in a second, but I'm going with JJ McCarthy as my bet in this matchup. I like JJ McCarthy over 1.5 passing touchdowns at even money. I love this bet. This is my most confident play this week. Some may say play of the day, but we'll get to that in a minute. Minnesota needs to win this game. If they don't win this game, their chance of the playoffs really does shrink, especially considering the current records of the teams in the NFC North. The Bears are doing pretty well. The Lions have looked really good the last couple of weeks. Packers, we're going to make the playoffs. I know that we were disappointing against the Eagles on offense and against the Panthers, but we will make the playoffs. The defense is too good. So Minnesota needs to win games, and they need to beat the Bears. Now, JJ McCarthy is going to have a lot of pressure on him here because for all that Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason have been good, dovetailing at running back, they're not the best running backs in the league. Like Jones is injury prone. He's solid, but equally you can't give him 20 to 25 carries in a game. Jordan Mason seems to be at his best in the red zone. They don't really trust him anywhere else on the field when Jones is also in the lineup. I think JJ McCarthy is going to be given the reins to this offense this week. As you said, the Bears defense, especially the secondary, is vulnerable. They're actually giving up 240.3 passing yards per game, which is the 3rd most in the league. They've also allowed 2.2 passing touchdowns per game, which is the 4th most in the league. Now, 2.2 doesn't sound like a big number, but I promise you it is. Denver are the best team against passing TDs, 0.8. So it's a small margin because this is on average, but they give up a lot. And even if the Vikings just go with the current number, like JJ's going to have 2. So we'll take that. McCarthy's only started 4 games this year. He's had 2 passing touchdowns in 2 of them. I think he's going to have great success here. I actually prefer, and I'm not contradicting your play, but I actually prefer Jordan Addison overs to Justin Jefferson overs, not because of the line. It's just in recent history when the Vikings play the Bears will do anything they can to stop Jefferson catching the ball, whether it's holding, whether it's PI, whether it's double teaming him, whether it's jamming him at the line of scrimmage. It's literally just, we're focusing on Jefferson. You can do whatever you want elsewhere. And that's my one concern. So I do like Addison in this spot. Jefferson will get his catches, of course. And then you've got Jalen Naylor, who's a top quality wide receiver 3, and TJ Hawkinson. a lot of targets for JJ McCarthy. So I'll take over 1.5 passing touchdowns. And just one final point back on Jefferson here. If you go through his statistics against the Bears, as I was saying, they have just been stopping him on purpose in recent years. For example, they played on the 8th of January 2023. He had 4 catches for 38. They played on the 24th of November 2024. He had 2 catches for 27. Then he had 7 catches for 73 at the end of 2024. And earlier this year, he had 4 catches for 44 yards. So they do everything they can to stop him. But the one plus for you is that they've got a new defensive coordinator this year in Dennis Allen at Chicago. I don't know whether he's really coined on to the fact that they can't be letting Jefferson catch the ball all the time. Whatever he's doing, he's not doing a great job as the DC because this defense stinks.
They didn't do a bad job in week 1, to be fair. 7 targets, 4 catches for 44. But that was one of 2 games this year that Justin Jefferson has managed to find the end zone in. And also, in recent years, they've had better defenses. They've had Jalen Johnson in there. Jalen Johnson, as I say, is out for the majority of the year anyway. CJ Gardner-Johnson, he went down last week and was hurt for a while. I don't know if he's going to play this week. There's no injury report yet out from the Chicago Bears, but either way, if you take anything Minnesota this week in the receiving game, I think you're going to be all right, honestly, because Chicago are not a very good defense whatsoever. I have put up 2 real stud wide receivers. So let's progress on to an up-and-coming running back. I don't know who's going to play quarterback for the Houston Texans this week. Davis Mills, he was, good for fantasy anyway last week, and he managed to get the job done over Jacksonville. CJ Stroud, I think, will play. I think he's going to be the guy, but they've got Tennessee this week. It's a big game for them because it's a divisional matchup, and Tennessee aren't very good. They allow anyone to run all over them. However, Woody Marks might just be the next name in line. He took a huge step last week in securing the backfield. He had 14 carries while playing from behind. That was amazing to see. He had an 80% snap share. Nick Chubb was only in the game for 13% of the snaps. He had, the Houston Texans, I should say, they had 7 snaps inside the 10-yard line. Woody Marks played all of them. And also he had 4 carries as well from those 7 snaps. I think Woody Marks is a great bet for a touchdown this week, but I think he goes over his yardage line of 53 and a half. He averaged 4.5 yards per carry against, honestly, Jacksonville suck, but their defense is okay. It's a solid defense in Jacksonville, especially on the run defense side of things. He played Tennessee in week 4, was kind of his breakout game that maybe didn't materialize further down the line, but he went 17 carries for 69 yards and 1 touchdown. The Titans, yes, in their latest game, they might have held Kamani Vidal in check, who, he's just filling in for Amari and Hampton, and he's been very up and down. But in the same game, Jarrett Patterson, he went 9 for 44 and averaged 4.9 yards per carry. Ramondre Stevenson recently, when they played the Patriots, he went 18 for 88 and weirdly averaged 4.9 again per carry. And then the week prior to that, it was Jonathan Taylor. We're not going to count Jonathan Taylor because he just bullied them and did whatever he wanted to. But that's what Jonathan Taylor's done this year. I think this is Woody Marks' backfield now. Maybe Nick Chubb can have a good week as well if they are up and playing with the lead, which they should be. But Woody Marks, Tom, a name I didn't expect to feature on the list, but I quite like Woody Marks this week.
I think we're 1 from 1 on the podcast this year, tipping Woody Marks. I put him up a few weeks ago, and he managed to win for us. I think so anyway. But yeah, look, he's definitely the better of the 2 running backs. They have been trusting Nick Chubb with a lot of carries over the course of the season, but it's only a matter of time before Woody gets 60, 70%.
Yeah, in fairness, Chubb did run the ball well last week, but I think this is now Woody Marks' backfield, and we will look forward, hopefully, to Woody Marks smashing it this week. Let's move on to the 9 o'clock games, the late games, and let's move on to just a horrible team. Let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers, because they've got quite a good running back as well, Tom.
Yeah, they do. I think they're 2.5-point favourites to beat the Arizona Cardinals this week on the road. Cardinals absolutely stunk the place out against Seattle in that first and second quarter last week. They're better than that. They proved that in the second half. Whether they can actually bounce back and beat the 49ers, I'm not so sure. But this should be a good game between 2 teams that have been very hit and miss so far this year. There are 2 players in here, though, right? CMC, Christian McCaffrey. He is the whole San Francisco 49ers offense still. Ricky Pearsall may be back this week, but it might be the week after. And then on the other side of the ball, you've got Trey McBride, who is the whole of the Arizona Cardinals offense, because Marvin Harrison, he's just not doing it. I don't like his effort, by the way. I feel like when he goes up for a 50-50 ball, he should be a lot stronger and a lot better. And that's probably why he's not really had the same production that we were anticipating out of college. So you have Christian McCaffrey v. Trey McBride. It's basically those two, and whoever's going to have the better game will probably win for their team. I like Christian McCaffrey. I think the 49ers probably take this game. The line currently for McCaffrey on rushing yards is relatively high, but it's actually been the receiving part of his game that has really thrived this year. So I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey over 53.5 receiving yards at 10-11. He is a top 5 running back on ability, but actually he's a top 10 wide receiver too. This is how good McCaffrey is. And that's not just my opinion. Like, I look at statistics, he's had the third most targets among any player in the league. Third most. Incredible. The only two players that have had more targets than him are Jamar Chase, who's number 1, and Chris Olave, who plays in an offense with no other wide receivers. Well, Rashid Shaheed was there, but he's not anymore. So, look, Christian McCaffrey is looked at more than 99% of the players in this league in the passing game. If he can get 6 to 8 catches, because they're not all screens, they're not all dump-offs out of the backfield, they are slants, they're wheel routes, he runs 5 and outs, 10 and outs, corners, etc. He has a big route tree. So I feel like he's going to easily cover this line. And they need to throw the ball to McCaffrey because he's solid, he's consistent. He is the guy that really churns his offense. I'm quite confident with this play. Christian McCaffrey over 53.5 receiving yards. The only thing that I think can make this play lose is if he picks up an injury. And look, I don't want to mention it because maybe I am kind of tempting fate here. But in the past, he has struggled with injuries. So far, he's had a relatively clear year. So hopefully he can get through this game and get through the whole season. But I like him to cover the over.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey. He's gone over most things so far this year because he's the entirety of the offense in San Francisco, including even when George Kittle has come back, albeit Kittle was athletic at his very best last week. I'm going to focus on that position, but on the other side of the ball, I think Trey McBride, again, has a big week. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how good Trey McBride is. You know how good Trey McBride is. He's blossomed since Jacoby Brissett's taken over. We said a few weeks ago, at the moment, Jacoby Brissett is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray. Kyler is on IR, but I wonder how much of that is injury and how much of it is, we'll just save you and then we'll move you on to somewhere else next year. Look, I would like to think that Trey McBride will have a big day regards to receiving yards, but he's scored at least one touchdown in the last 4 games. His price is still 27-20. He's odds against to score a touchdown. I'll just take him again this week then. We used Trey McBride last week. He had a fantastic week. He's had 11, 13, 9, and 13 targets in the last 4 games. He's being used like a wide receiver is. He's putting up fantastic numbers. And the Niners aren't a very good defense against tight ends. They're solid overall. They're not the Niners defense of old because everyone left in the offseason. But last week against the Rams, Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen, they both found the end zone. They're both tight ends for the LA Rams. Theo Johnson managed to find the end zone for the New York Giants against San Francisco 2 weeks ago. I think Daniel Bellinger might have had a drop in that game in the end zone. Look, Trey McBride earlier on in the year with Kyler Murray, 5 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown against San Francisco. I think Trey McBride goes way over that line. But if bookmakers, it's like you with Jalen Hurts last year, Tom. If bookmakers are going to keep on giving you odds against for Trey McBride to find the end zone, I'm going to keep on taking it until he doesn't.
Yeah, I was very tempted to take Trey McBride in this matchup. As I say, Christian McCaffrey, Trey McBride, they're the 2 players you want to be focusing on. The price looks very fair. I have nothing negative to say about that pick. I'm glad you put it up because I didn't, and I was debating it.
Yeah, Trey McBride. Anytime touchdown, that is 27-20. I will do my second last selection because you can't have a week go by where you don't mention the Seattle Seahawks. But this is the game of the week. I'm shocked, Tom, this game wasn't flexed to one of the primetime spots, i.e. Monday Night Football, because the Seahawks are in town taking on the LA Rams. What a game this is going to be. 7-2, both teams, and whoever wins is going to go top of their division. The Rams have got a good run defense. The Seahawks have got a good run defense as well. But the Rams' pass defense is exploitable, as the Seahawks is at times. But Ernest Jones is back for the Seahawks. But we'll focus on picking on the Rams because Sam Darnold is having a fantastic year We did this with a player of the day earlier on in the season. Can't remember who it was against, but Sam Darnold helped us out. Sam Darnold over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That's even money. There are a few firms that are odds on, but the best price you'll find is even money. I think that's a great bet. Look, Sam Darnold had a down week last week in week 10. That wasn't his fault. It's because Seattle were leading by so much against the Cardinals. He wasn't needed. Yes, he had a fumble. He had a pick as well. The pick wasn't great, but the game was already in hand effectively. And he hasn't really been needed to close out a game for the last 2 weeks. But Seattle had a couple of early defensive scores. I think he only threw the ball 12 times in the entirety of the game. And he still didn't have a bad stat line, even with that taken into account. He found JSN early for a touchdown, and that was effectively his day done and dusted. But since week 2, he's passed for 2 or more touchdowns 5 times, only really failing in blowouts. There's been a few of those there in recent weeks as well, but he still passed for 4 touchdowns against Washington. He made them look like a really, really poor defense in the early part of the game. And Seattle are only getting stronger as well in the passing game. Look, they're getting healthier as well because Torrey Horton, maybe he's back this week. He's been dealing with an injury. Cooper Kupp, he looked good running routes last week. He had a big play, obviously, when Arizona just forgot to put someone on him, and he managed to go for many yards. JSN, I think for the moment anyway, he's the best receiver in the league. He has had an absolutely ridiculous season so far, and he's leading the league in receiving yards. AJ Barner has stepped up regards to being a tight end. Ken Walker's beginning to catch a few more balls out of the backfield. And I don't know if I mentioned, but Rashid Shaheed obviously is in town. He was traded for at the deadline. And as I say, LA, they are exploitable regards to their pass defense. Mac Jones passed for 3 touchdowns against them last week. The 2 weeks before that, Tyler Shuck and Trevor Lawrence, they only passed for 1 apiece, but they looked awful in that game as well. So, look, Sam Darnold over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That is at even money, Tom. I think that's another bet where the price is a little bit wrong. That should be quite heavy odds on, I feel.
Yeah, I think the traders generally get those prices a little bit mixed up with the passing touchdown markets. They always seem to be odds against, regardless of who the player is. It's quite surprising. The Seahawks offense has been firing on all cylinders. So, yeah, I get it. That's your final play of 5, right?
It is. Tom, tell me your final pick, and this is my least favourite of yours.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's not my play of the day, but it's my favorite. I would be doing a mic drop here, but unfortunately, the mic is on a stand, so that's not possible.
To drop.
Yeah, too expensive to drop. Right. Final selection this week is the Denver Broncos +4 against the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't really need to say any more. Like, my opinion every single week has been Denver Broncos are this team that are going to win the division. They are going to. They're 8-2 right now. They were 4-1 at the start of the year to win the division. I don't see them losing from here. I also have bet them for the Super Bowl. I'm confident that they're going to go quite far in the playoffs. Now, the question here is, what is the offense going to do? But it's the same question in Green Bay. Defenses win championships. I think both of these two teams are going to progress, and hopefully Denver can rack up another win this week. I would actually play the money line in this game, but Pat Surtain is not playing. Like, if Surtain was in here, I'd fancy them to definitely beat the Chiefs. That defense is just so good. I don't see Mahomes really putting up that many points, and maybe Bo Nix can put it together. Look, Bo Nix has played the Chiefs twice in his career. One of them was when the Chiefs rested all their starters last season. They won 31-0. Not sure you can really take that for literal, but he did have 4 passing touchdowns in that game. The previous matchup, they lost 14-16, but Bo Nix played well. He had 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. He ran the ball nicely. They just lost in a defensive battle. But their defense is better this year. Even if this game is 14-16 to the Chiefs, I'll be slightly disappointed because I do want the Broncos to win just to basically put that final nail in the coffin for the division. But I won't really care that much because this bet will land. We've got them +4. I think it's going to be quite a close game. Hopefully Bo Nix and this offense can pull through late. Give me the Broncos +4 to finally prove me right.
Bo Nix does suck, though.
He doesn't. No QB that has a team that's 8-2 regular season record sucks.
They do, though. I am not a Bo Nix fan. However, it will be interesting this week, Tom, because I think J.K. Dobbins might be out.
Which is even
like
better.
It looks like that could be the way, which means that R.J. Harvey could get a lot more of the ball.
Good. Yeah, he's got more juice than J.K. Like, Dobbins is a good play. He's solid. But RJ Harvey has end zone ability, like regardless of where they are on the field. Yes, he's not as refined as Dobbins is. He's not as reliable. But equally, I feel like he is the guy that needs to be playing running back as they go into the playoffs, or at least getting the main share of the carries, with JK there for the short yardage plays. But yeah, I don't mind that Dobbins is out, to be honest with you. The bigger concern is that Pat Surtain is out, and Rashid Rice could have a bit of a field day against Riley Moss et al. But hopefully this defense and that front seven can just get so much pressure on Patrick Mahomes that the deep ball kind of gets taken out of the equation here.
Yeah, in fairness, Surtain has missed, I think, the last 3 games. So they are used to playing without Surtain, but they are better without Surtain this year than they were last year when they were very much exploitable without him. But that is a run through of our 10 selections for this week. We have made it through an entire podcast of picks, Tom, without revealing what our player of the days are.
Kinda. I kind of hinted at it, but yes, we have.
I don't listen to you. Right, give us your 5 picks for this weekend. Just for anyone who wasn't paying attention, like myself, your player of the day.
Yes, 5 selections. Bijan Robinson over 71.5 rushing yards for the Atlanta Falcons. That's at 10-11. JJ McCarthy over 1.5 passing touchdowns for the Minnesota Vikings. That is my player of the day against a terrible Chicago Bears secondary right now. Selection 3, Calvin Austin III, over 33.5 receiving yards for the Pittsburgh Steelers, again at 10-11. Selection 4, Christian McCaffrey, over 53.5 receiving yards, not rushing, receiving yards, again at 10-11 for the 49ers against the Cardinals. And finally, mic drop kind of moment, Denver Broncos +4 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's hope they just win, but we'll take the points.
You forgot to mention your main reason for taking the Broncos as well, by the way.
Which is?
Screw you, Gary Slater.
I knew you were going to say that. You've got to give Gary a shout out every week.
Literally, Gary, but Kansas City -20.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, if you're watching this on Sunday or Saturday, I'm absolutely certain Gary Slater would have put a comment down below telling me that I am silly, and he'll also quote Lombardi Luke. And yeah, Gary, you're wrong, mate.
You're predictable. But hopefully he'll be among the comments for our membership giveaway. We'll do that again in a second. But my 5 picks for this week. Drake London, over 72.5 receiving yards. I think Drake London has another big week. Michael Penix only throws the ball to him. He can go over that line of 72.5. That's 10-11. Woody Marks on the ground for the Houston Texans. 53.5 is his line regards to rushing yards. I think he goes over that and has a big week. Justin Jefferson, over 68.5 receiving yards. I think he has a big day for Minnesota. And in the late games, we'll move on to the play of the day because Sam Darnold will throw for over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That's even money. I think that's a great price. I think also a great price is Trey McBride, anytime touchdown, 27-20. 5 picks for the pair of us this week. Remember, leave a like. If we go 100 or over, we'll give away a free membership month to one of you guys that comments and likes down below. And that's pretty much it for the week, Tom.
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking forward to this. Finally got my record into the positives, which is great news. We've only got a handful of weeks. I'm not going to mention yours. We've only got a handful of weeks left of the regular season. I say that. I mean, it's still a good, 2 months. So hopefully we can continue building the profit, your player of the day record. If you can keep just 1 loss from now to the end of the year, you've done exceptionally well.
Yes, and we will really hate Aaron Glenn. Right, that's us done for the week. Sunday football in the bag. Leave your comments down below, enter our membership tier giveaway, and make sure you watch the podcast every single week where Tom says goodbye to the people.
Let's go, Denver.